Yo, Raider Nation. What's good? It's time to dive into the heart of the silver and black with some massive updates that'll have you hyped for the 2025 NFL season. We're talking blockbuster roster moves, a quarterback shakeup, and the return of a familiar face ready to rewrite his Raiders legacy. Buckle up, because this is Las Vegas Raiders news you don't want to miss. From Allegiant Stadium to your screen, we're breaking it all down with the passion and pride that only Raider Nation can bring. So, let's get into it. What's the pulse of our team as we gear up for a season that could redefine the Raiders' future? Hold up, let's set the stage. The Raiders just made waves by trading for quarterback Kenny Pickett after a gut-punch injury to Aidan O'Connell in the preseason finale against the Arizona Cardinals. And that's not all. Amari Cooper, a former Raiders first-round pick, is back in the silver and black, talking about unfinished business and ready to light up the field with Geno Smith. These moves have Raider Nation buzzing, but what do they mean for our chances in the stacked AFC West? Let's unpack the drama, the stats, and the storylines that have us counting down to Week 1. Ready for the ride? Here's the hook. These changes could either spark a playoff run or leave us scratching our heads. Let's find out which. First up, let's talk about the quarterback shakeup that's got everyone talking. Aidan O'Connell, who was set to be the backup behind Geno Smith, went down with a broken wrist in the preseason finale against the Cardinals. The prognosis: 6 to 8 weeks on the injured reserve, a tough blow for a guy who was looking to prove himself after a rocky 2024. Enter Kenny Pickett, acquired from the Cleveland Browns for a 5th-round pick. Pickett, a former first-rounder, brings experience and grit to the Raiders' QB room. In his first comments after joining the team, he sounded fired up, saying he's ready to learn from Pete Carroll and compete for that backup spot. But here's the question: can Pickett step up if Geno Smith falters, or is he just a stopgap? Raider Nation, what do you think? Does Pickett have what it takes to be a difference maker? The move for Pickett shows the Raiders front office, led by GM John Spytek, isn't messing around. With the 2025 season kicking off against the New England Patriots on September 7th, there's no time to waste. Pickett's got 24 starts under his belt from his time with the Pittsburgh Steelers and Browns, throwing for 4,474 yards and 13 touchdowns in his career. Not eye-popping numbers, but his 62% completion rate and ability to handle pressure could fit well in Chip Kelly's fast-paced offense. Still, the loss of O'Connell stings. He showed flashes of potential last season, and now the Raiders are banking on Pickett to gel quickly with a revamped roster. Imagine the electricity at Allegiant Stadium if Pickett has to step in early. What kind of spark could he bring? Let's hear your predictions in the comments. Now, let's shift gears to the blockbuster return of Amari Cooper, the prodigal son of the silver and black. Drafted 4th overall by the Raiders in 2015, Cooper's back after stints with the Cowboys and Browns, signing a 1-year deal to prove he's still got it. In his first media session, he didn't hold back, calling the Allegiant Stadium facilities night and day, compared to the old Alameda setup, and talking about his unfinished business with the Raiders. Cooper's got a point. During his first stint, he racked up 2,223 yards and 11 touchdowns in 2.5 seasons, but never quite met the sky-high expectations of a top-5 pick. Now, at 31, he's a 5-time Pro Bowler with 9,736 career receiving yards. Can he recapture that magic with Geno Smith slinging the ball? This is the kind of reunion that could set Raider Nation on fire. Cooper's comments about his instant chemistry with Geno Smith have us dreaming of big plays. He mentioned how their South Florida roots might give them an edge in timing, and after just one practice, he's already feeling the vibe. Picture this: Cooper running a crisp slant route, Smith hitting him in stride, and the Allegiant Stadium crowd roaring as he breaks free for a 40-yard gain. But it's not all smooth sailing. The Raiders' wide receiver room is a question mark beyond Jakobi Meyers, who shockingly requested a trade after stalled contract talks. The team declined Meyers' request, but the drama adds tension to an already thin position group. With rookies like Donte Thornton and Jack Beck competing for spots, Cooper's veteran presence could be the glue that holds this offense together. What do you think? Will Cooper be the X-factor for the Raiders' passing game? Speaking of drama, let's dive into the Jakobi Meyers situation, because this one's a real head-scratcher. Meyers, the Raiders' WR1 last season with 807 yards and 8 touchdowns, reportedly asked for a trade after contract negotiations hit a wall. This news dropped like a bomb on August 27th, just as the Raiders were finalizing their 53-man roster. The team said, "No way," keeping Meyers in the fold, but you can't help but wonder how this affects team chemistry. Meyers is a reliable target, with a 71.2% catch rate last year, and his connection with Geno Smith was supposed to be a cornerstone of Chip Kelly's offense. Now, with Cooper in the mix and young guys like Trey Tucker pushing for reps, the receiver room feels like a powder keg. Raider Nation, how do you see this playing out? Can Meyers and Cooper coexist, or is trouble brewing? The Raiders' decision to stick with Meyers shows Pete Carroll's no-nonsense approach. The legendary coach, who took over this offseason, is all about building a culture of toughness and accountability. At 73, Carroll's got a Super Bowl ring and a knack for turning teams around, and he's not fazed by the AFC West's heavy hitters like the Chiefs and Chargers. He's already got Max Crosby, the heart and soul of the defense, hyped up. Carroll recently said Crosby's all in on the new vision. But with Meyers' trade request and a thin receiver core, the offense needs to gel fast. Imagine the stakes in Week 1 against the Patriots, with Tom Brady, a Raiders minority owner, watching from the booth. Will the Raiders come out swinging, or will the drama derail them? Drop your thoughts below. Now, let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. The Raiders' 53-man roster is locked in, and it's a mix of promise and question marks. The offense, led by Geno Smith, Cooper, and rookie running back Ashton Jeanty, looks explosive on paper. Jeanty, the number 6 overall pick, showed flashes in the preseason, including a highlight reel run that had Raider Nation buzzing. But the defense? That's where things get dicey. The release of Christian Wilkins in July due to a foot injury dispute was a shocker, leaving a hole next to Crosby. New additions like linebackers Jermaine Pratt and Elandon Roberts, plus safety Jeremy Chin, bring some grit, but can they hold up against Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert? The Raiders went 4-13 last season, so the pressure's on to flip the script. What's your take? Can this defense step up in the clutch? The roster cuts were brutal, with some fan favorites like Thayer Munford Jr. and Trey Taylor getting waived. GM John Spytek called it tough decisions to build the best 53, but the moves show a clear focus on youth and potential. Take Ashton Jeanty, for example. His 2,062 rushing yards at Boise State last year made him a Heisman finalist, and now he's ready to carry the load in Vegas. Pair him with Brock Bowers, the returning star tight end who had 74 catches for 742 yards in 2024, and you've got an offense that could surprise people. But with O'Connell sidelined and Pickett still learning the playbook, the margin for error is thin. Picture Jeanty breaking tackles in the red zone while Bowers hauls in a touchdown. Can you feel the Allegiant Stadium energy? Let's hear your bold predictions for this offense. Now, let's talk about Pete Carroll's impact, because this man is bringing a whole new vibe to the silver and black. After a year away from coaching, Carroll's back with a fire to prove he can still compete at the highest level. His staff, including offensive guru Chip Kelly and defensive coordinator Patrick Graham, is stacked with experience. Carroll's already making waves, giving advice to fringe players during the preseason and hyping up the team's potential. He told the media, "We're here to win football games," echoing Al Davis's "just win, baby" mantra. But the AFC West is a gauntlet, and the Raiders' 0-2-1 preseason didn't exactly inspire confidence. Can Carroll's leadership turn this roster into a contender, or are we looking at another rebuilding year? Raider Nation, weigh in. The preseason showed glimpses of what's possible, like Jeanty's truckstick runs and Crosby's relentless pressure, with 3.5 sacks in limited snaps. But there were also red flags, like the defense's struggles to stop the run and the offense's late-game miscues against the 49ers. Carroll's got his work cut out for him, especially with tough early matchups against the Chargers and Commanders looming after the Patriots. The Raiders haven't made the playoffs since 2021, and Raider Nation is starving for a breakthrough. Imagine the scene: Allegiant Stadium packed, the black hole in full force, and the Raiders pulling off an upset in Week 1. What would that do for the team's confidence? Let's get those comment sections lit up with your hype for the season. As we wrap this up, let's not forget the Raider Nation heartbeat, the fans. From the tailgates at Allegiant Stadium to the diehards watching worldwide, you're the soul of this franchise. The Raiders' move to Las Vegas in 2020 brought a new chapter, but the legacy of Al Davis, 3 Super Bowls, and that rebellious spirit lives on. With Cooper's return, Pickett's fresh start, and Carroll's leadership, 2025 feels like a make-or-break year. Will we see the Raiders storm back to relevance, or will the AFC West grind us down? I'm pumped to find out, and I know you are too. So, let's keep the faith and ride with the silver and black. Raider Nation, it's time to make some noise. Hit that like button if you're hyped for the 2025 season. Drop a comment with your boldest predictions. Will Cooper go for 1,000 yards? Can Pickett steal the show? Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single Las Vegas Raiders news update. Share this video with every Raiders fan you know, because we're building something special here. Let's carry the just win, baby spirit into the season and show the NFL what Raider Nation is all about. Until next time, stay proud, stay loud, and let's go Raiders!